Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for FET, XRP and AI16Z, the price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. For this video, we're gonna start with FET on the daily chart to remind you very fast with the bullish and bearish scenario and the highest possibility on the daily for FET. So starting with the first scenario for the bullish, where we have a potential diagonal toward the upside, wave 1, and we have of course an ABC toward the downside, wave 2, and followed by 1 2 1 2 here, and looking for wave 3 4 5 4 5 towards higher prices. In this case, you are looking of course here at an A, B and a C finish for wave 2 between the perfect fib level for wave 2, and starting of course an impulse 1 2 3 4 5 for a massive explosive wave 3 for higher prices. Again, the target for this scenario is the 1.618, at least a $5.7 for FET. The next scenario is that you have here a potential W, X, and a Y, where you have finished an A, B, and a C. Your wave C is 1 2 3 4 5, impulse, finishing wave C in a W, and of course your X given, and a final zigzag in a wave Y. Meaning you have finished kind of like a wave A with 3 waves toward the upside, 3 waves toward the downside again, and then of course continuation for higher prices in a wave C. The wave C would like to reach of course an impulse for the 1-to-1 fib level, I would say, which is lower a little bit, but preferably of course to take the high, which is minimum $3.3 for FET. A final scenario is of course a zigzag toward the upside, wave 1, wave 2, zigzag for wave 3, correction wave 4, perfect fib levels, and then moving toward the upside again for a wave 5 in a leading diagonal 1 2 3 4 and a 5. Those are the bullish scenario. A bearish scenario that might unfold is of course that you might be in a bigger corrective wave as an A, B, and a C. This wave B is unfolding currently as a zigzag potentially, and then moving toward the downside. However, this scenario is a very low possibility, and that because you have 3 bullish scenario against only 1 bearish scenario, meaning the highest probabilities goes here of course for the bullish rather than the bearish side. So basically we are looking right now at something impulsive as a 1-2 or as an A, B, and a C. Now let's dive inside it of course to see what's going on in there. And of course inside here we are looking at a 1 2 3 4 5 towards the upside, wave A or wave 1 as explained, ABC given after it of course as a wave 2, and we got of course finish wave 2 or wave B. So in this case scenario, you have finished a wave 1, you have here kind of like a diagonal, finished a wave C for an A, B, and a C. And I prefer of course to say that we are much more bullish here rather than just corrective and moving towards the upside. However, if we dive a little bit inside it on the 1 hour chart here, you can see clearly that okay, if we are in an impulse here as a wave 1 2 1 2 3 4 and a 5, finished wave 1 here, your wave 2 did not reach the time and the fib level yet of course for FET on the logarithmic chart, but on the linear chart you can say okay that we barely touched the 0.38 on the linear. However, the time was not yet respected. Therefore, I'm wondering if this wave 2 is still unfolding something like an A, B, and a C expanding flat towards the downside, where you might have of course a kind of like a wave C hitting this blue box again, which it might be of course perfection for wave 2. Now in confluence, if we take of course the wave A to the wave B of course as an expanding flat wave C, you will see of course exactly the confluence between the targets 1.618 that it might hit exactly in the middle of this blue box. So basically we need to of course watch this, and currently today we are looking for lower prices definitely. Now this is kind of like a very choppy wave 1 in case this is a wave 1. However, it can be something like a 1 2 3 4 and a 5 wave 1, A, B, and a C for wave 2. And now you are unfolding of course something for lower, very impulsive toward the downside to hit the 1.618, which is of course around the 0.38, 0.5 fib level. which is much more preferable, guys, of course, for a wave 2, based on the time and on the fib levels. So this is the highest possibility right now for FET. I would say now the price is moving kind of like impulsive for lower prices. If the price comes back and takes this level, which is of course your wave 1 here, this might be the invalidation of bearish. Okay, so if the price comes back to this area here, to the zone 1, and we take the 0.715, yeah, so that might means of course that we are looking for something else. Okay, it might be also ABC, 3 ways up, moving down again. We're gonna see, of course. However, to be watched, of course, because this can be right now an impulse wave C. So let's move to the next one, which is XRP. Let's see XRP on the daily, of course. Starting with the daily here on XRP, you know, we are already in an impulse toward the upside, where we are looking, of course, for this very long range correction here, and we start an impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we dive inside it, of course, we're still looking for a wave 5. Let's move inside this impulse, and basically what we are looking here is a potential 1, 2, 3. Wave 4 is unfolding kind of like a W, X, and a Y. This W is of course here like a flat, expanding flat. You have a zigzag for the X and A, B, C, D, and a E for a wave 4, and then moving toward the upside for a wave 5. Another possible scenario is of course a W and an X and a wave Y here that it might have finished, sorry. So we're gonna move a little bit inside it. Here we go. So we have a W, we have an X, and we have a wave Y as a zigzag, wave 4. And currently you're looking at something impulsive as a wave 1. It can be, of course, something like even an impulse correction, impulse toward the upside, finish wave 1 in diagonal wave 2, and you're looking for a leading diagonal right now on the micro level, which we're gonna see next. This might be playing a wave 3, 4, and a 5 toward the upside, taking the all-time high as a potential ending diagonal for this blue box wave 5, where we are looking for it anyway in the next price action. So if we dive a little bit inside it and to see which one, is it the triangle that it is unfolding? Are we gonna have a wave D here and then E and then moving for higher? Or are we gonna have this continuation for a diagonal already toward the upside? Let's move inside it here. On the 2 hours chart, as you can see, of course, we have a zigzag correction, zigzag and correction for a wave 4. Currently, you see a perfect impulse, which is, of course, something different than the other waves 1 and 3. And that means, of course, currently we're looking for higher prices as an ABC for XRP, for a wave 5 to be finished in a diagonal wave 1, 2, and then continuation toward the upside for a wave 3. So basically, I would say the things are tending here to be much more in a diagonal toward the upside, and tending to be, of course, in a finished WX and a Y. This one, guys. Yeah, WX and a Y finished over there, and looking for an ending diagonal towards the upside. Otherwise, if we stop over there and we get like an ABC, this might be, of course, a wave D, and then moving for lower later on. And meaning this diagonal right now is your wave A, and you might get a wave B rather than a wave 2, and of course taking the 1-to-1 fib level, hitting the wave D, and then continuation simply toward the downside for a wave E. Very simple for XRP. Let's move for the AI16. For the AI16 on the daily chart, we are looking, of course, at an impulse toward the upside again. Also, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finished impulse. The direction of the market is already set toward the upside. Wave 1 or wave A finished over there. We have an ABC corrective, and of course finished a wave B or a wave 2. After this, you would like to see continuation simply towards higher prices. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a wave 1 here. Now this correction is very long in time and also in price. I would say it has reached already the blue zone, as of course we were expecting for this area to see, of course, a target for a wave 2, which is the golden area for a wave 2. However, we don't see right now like a perfection, I would say, for an impulse scenario that it might unfold towards the upside, but there is, of course, a possibility of several 1-2s here. So we're gonna dive inside it to see what's going on the 1 hour chart here for this scenario. So basically, if you take a look here closely, you have, of course, an impulse toward the upside. You have like 1 2 1 2 wave 3, kind of 4 5, but you're wondering here what is your second 4 and a 5. Therefore, we need the micro level here to understand what's going on inside this wave. So what's going on here is a potential actually expanding diagonal, guys, and not an impulse, in case we are impulsive. And that means you are in a 1 2 here, 3 4 and a 5, because your wave 4 here, of course, interfered with the zone 1. Otherwise, you have to consider 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. But where is your second 4 5? Yeah, so if you want to have an impulse here and looking toward the upside, we have to accept, of course, an expanding diagonal, which is a very rare case scenario, but here it is working perfectly as an expanding diagonal. However, if this is not the case, therefore we have to consider, of course, an ABC, very simply zigzag toward the upside. Now the problem, back to the 1 hour chart here, the problem is in case that you are in a zigzag here, therefore you have a problem with an impulse toward the upside. Why? Because this can be, of course, an impulse, this one, which is different than this wave. Now, if I want to take it as a zigzag 1 2 3 4 5, it's very hard to take it as a zigzag. It doesn't work. It works only as, of course, 1 2 3 4 and a 5. Okay, so this is definitely an impulse toward the upside. You have your wave 2 not taking the low, and then you move impulsively again with a much clearer impulse toward the upside. Therefore, if you are bullish here and you want to continue as a bullish scenario, you have to accept, of course, that this is an expanding diagonal here, like 1 2 3 4 and a 5, which it looks fine, of course, and looks like a shark teeth, as I always mention here. And of course, you would like to see a very extended wave 5. So basically, as an expanding diagonal, I would say it's working perfectly. So you have 1 2 3 1 2 1 2, and then 1 2 3 4 5 toward the upside that it might unfold, of course, for AI16. Otherwise, we have to consider the bearish scenario, guys, which is, of course, the following A, B, and a C. Yeah? So we have, of course, here a wave A potentially, and you have A, B, C for a wave B, and you got the wave C, meaning in a bigger view, A, B, and a C, and you continue towards the downside, right? However, if we take a look also inside this area, if you have 1 2 1 2, wave 3, wave 4 interfered with the zone 1, meaning everything is happening here is simply corrective still, and you might be in a wave 2 again, and then 3 4 5, which it gives a little bit higher possibility here for the triple 1-2s. Now, based on the fib levels for this wave 2, you would like to hit, of course, at least the 0.38, which is already taken. Currently, we are around the 0.5, which is also very nice. I would say that it should be ready. It should be ready, of course, to move for higher. Now, this 0.38, of course, is a signal that you didn't took even the 1-2 here, 0.38. Very interesting, even on the linear chart. So, yeah, the things are looking here very bullish, but we're going to see what's going to happen regarding this 0.38, sorry. Basically, if we are in ABC here and done, finished, we would like to see, of course, continuation toward the upside. However, here what's going on is an A, B, and a C. The wave C is, of course, not finished yet, so we still need one more leg toward the downside. I prefer, of course, this blue zone to be respected, especially that the 0.38 here was not taken. So preferably to take, of course, respectively the perfect fib level for wave 2, and then start the move toward the upside for wave 3 in case we are bullish. Otherwise, if we take the 886, guys, this might be a signal that we are still looking for the low over there, and we might still looking even for lower. Yeah, so we still need one more low. Hopefully we don't take the 886, the major 886, which it might be a little bit problematic for an impulse toward the upside. We're gonna see the things. However, let's watch this level. The bullish is still, of course, possible scenario here, and we might still see, of course, triple 1-2s toward the upside for AI16. That was it for FET, XRP, and AI16. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.